Well, coming up, I'm going to be speaking with the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto. Hello, I'm Shannon Skinner, and this is Extraordinary Women TV. Well, joining me in the studio is Mayo Moran. Now, you'll meet her in a moment later in the interview. Before we take a break, I'll have my regular Good to Know Minute when I ask my guests for their top success tip, and you'll hear Mayo's. Well, welcome to the show, Mayo.
Thank you.
It's so nice. It's so nice having you here. Now, what a lovely name, Mayo. It's a county in Ireland, I understand.
That's right. It's a very unusual name. I've never met anyone else with this name, actually, and my father was born in County Mayo in the west of Ireland, and he thought I was going to be creative and interesting, so he gave me a very odd name.
Did you say thanks for the beautiful, wonderful name? Did you ever have a chance to
You know, I was lucky. I grew up at a time when it was cool to have an odd name. And so I've always liked my name because it gives me something to talk to people about as soon as I meet them.
So now you're the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto, and you're the first female Dean for the faculty.
Yes.
But before you were a lawyer, you were a teacher.
That's right.
So let's just sort of trace your career.
Yes, so I wasn't like many people who did an undergraduate degree in English and philosophy. I wasn't too sure what to do with myself. And so I went to Teachers College for a year, which was really terrific. And then I taught English and many other things at a very tough, underprivileged high school in northern British Columbia. And I did that for 6 years. I actually really loved it. It was very inspiring to teach those kids to like Shakespeare. But I always felt I wanted to do something that was more intellectually challenging. And so after 6 years, I headed across the country and decided to go to law school at McGill.
Did it take courage?
It did take courage,
right.
Actually. I'm more aware of how much courage it took now than I was at the time. But I didn't know anyone in Quebec. I didn't know anyone in Montreal. I left a secure job where I could have continued to work for the rest of my life. But it was a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
So you studied law, and then you decided that you were going to become a professor.
Yes, that's right. Well, I loved law, found it really incredibly interesting intellectually, and so I decided to continue on in law and to do graduate work in law. So I did a master's in law, and then I did a doctorate in law as well.
And so from there, how did you become the dean? And especially, I mean, this is fantastic. Congratulations to you, the first female dean.
Yes.
So how did that actually, what's the process?
Well, you know, I taught for a few years, and then I became an associate dean, which is sort of the second in command. You help run the program, and I did that for a few years and had a wonderful dean ahead of me who mentored me and helped me. And when they came to select the new person, they chose me, so very lucky.
What does a dean do?
I ask myself that question sometimes. You're the ambassador for the law school with the external world, so I spend a lot of my time fundraising. I have very significant fundraising responsibilities. I do public policy work that makes the law school connect with the broader world. I teach a big first-year class. I develop new programs and just generally try to move the place ahead in all sorts of different ways. It's a wonderful, exciting opportunity.
What's the biggest challenge that you face in your position?
I think the biggest challenge I faced when I started as dean was fundraising.
Right.
We had a very significant building campaign that had been outstanding for a long time, and so I had to raise you know, I've raised $50 million, so I had to raise a very significant amount of money. It was, the building had been around for a long time and people felt it wasn't going to happen. And then we had the economic downturn in 2008. And frankly, I think I had a lot of people who thought that women couldn't raise serious money. No one would have said that, but I think people thought that. And so my biggest challenge definitely was to raise money for that building. And we're digging for it June 6th, putting the shovel in the ground. Thank you.
So for you then, if you were sort of feeling that maybe because you're a woman, that might have been a bit of a, you know, a bit of a challenge. Did you have to do something, any internal work to say, no, I can do it, I'm going to show them? Or did you have to get a coach? Or did you, like, what did you do to find the stuff to to make it happen?
I have never had a coach. You know, I'm sort of my own coach, and my friends are my coaches, I guess. But I think a lot of it is just trying, you know, being optimistic. I'm an optimist, and so I think that helps a lot. And just being really determined. I mean, I think there's a sense in which if people say I can't do something, I really want to show them that I can. And then, of course, if you feel people are thinking you can't do it in part because you're a woman, you want to show that women can do these kinds of things. So I actually think some of that made me more determined.
Now, Mayo, we're going to take a quick break, and that means it's my Good to Know Minute. And I know you've got a great success tip.
Well, my success tip would be to be brave and not to be afraid to tackle challenges that seem insurmountable. I think the times in my life when I've taken a chance and taken on something that I wasn't sure that I could do have been the times when I've made the biggest step forward, like when I left teaching to go to law school, or when I said I was willing to stand up and be Dean of the Faculty of Law.
Well, Mayo, that's good to know, and thanks for that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more on Extraordinary Women TV. So stay where you are. Welcome back to Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner, and I'm speaking with Mayo Moran. She is the Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto. Now, I mean, you've got a very, very busy career. You're a mom, you've got a son. Is it possible for women to have it all?
I guess I don't think it's necessarily possible for people to have it all,
right,
in some sense. But I've always had the attitude that I would do as much as I possibly could, and probably I don't do any of it quite as well as I'd like to. But rather than only do one thing, I'm always juggling many different things and just trying my best to. So I try to get to my son's rugby games, and I make big dinners, even though I get to rugby late sometimes, and my dinners are rushed or whatever. But I really try to just balance and juggle a lot of things, and forgive myself for the fact that I don't always do everything as well as I'd like to.
Do you have time for hobbies?
I do. I have many hobbies.
Wow.
Again, I don't do any of them as well as I would probably like to, but I love to cook. I really like to travel. I like sports, so I like skiing. I ski in the winter, and I swim, and I run, and just generally do a lot of different things.
Now, I know that you write a lot.
Yes.
And one of the topics that you write about is on feminism.
Yeah.
For you, what is your point of view of feminism today? Is it, some people believe feminism is dead. What do you think?
I definitely don't think feminism is dead. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be dead from my own point of view, and I think when I look at my fantastic women students, they certainly see lots of concerns with women and with gender. I think the good news is the issues have changed. So thankfully, we've made progress, and a lot of the issues that, there used to be women couldn't hold property on their own. If you were raped in marriage, you couldn't prosecute. A lot of those things are gone, and so the issues are more subtle, which means we've made progress on lots of different things. But I still think there are lots of challenges for women. Making wages that are equivalent to men, having opportunities, even look at corporate boards, there's a huge imbalance despite the fact there are many, many talented women. So there are lots of challenges ahead.
And so, law is known to be a demanding profession. Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you have for, women who are just starting in the field of practice?
Law is very, very demanding. There's no doubt about it. Very long hours, and for women that's particularly hard because the period where you're building your career tends to coincide with the period of childbearing years, so that makes it very difficult. But I think it's really most important that people do what they really love. Because if you're doing a job that you love, I think that helps you do it efficiently. It helps you have the energy to keep going, and also I think you have to be candid about what you think you can do and what you don't think you can do, and have candid conversations with your superiors. I mean, my sense is that people in law firms know women are really talented, and they want to find ways to keep them.
And so what would be one of the best things a law firm could do to keep a female employee?
There are a lot of different things that people have talked about. People have talked about things like job sharing during certain periods of life, more flexible hours of work, again, during certain periods of life, rethinking the billable hour model. And another thing I know that law firms are looking at is creating larger teams of people to work on files so that when things happen, whether it be illness or a child or other issues, there are other people to hand files off to so that the clients still feel like they're well serviced.
So what is it that you love so much about being the dean?
I love the students. The students are really amazing. They're just inspiring. They're incredibly smart. They've done many different things. They're full of hope about the world. And so I really love the students. I love my faculty. They're smart and talented, and we have great programs that try to make the world a better place. So it's just incredibly exciting to be in a place full of people that are so committed and talented, trying to kind of together do all sorts of things that are going to make the world better.
Well, Mayo, I have really enjoyed having you here on the show and hearing about your career, and I thank you for coming and sharing your story, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, for more information about the show, past guests, past episodes, I'd encourage you to visit the website at extraordinarywomentv.com. And you can reach me through the website. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm always putting show updates on Twitter. Well, if you are interested in transforming your life, I hope these stories have inspired you. You've been watching Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. See you soon.